The red sun of Kepler 442b hung low in the purple sky as Dr. Kim Dae-ho wiped sweat from his forehead. The heat was getting worse as the day went on. He looked at the ancient stone walls in front of him and felt excited. After 3 years of planning, they were finally here. This is amazing, he said to himself. The ruins were bigger than anyone had expected. Stone blocks the size of cars were stacked on top of each other, making walls that reached up into the sky. Strange symbols covered every surface. Some of the symbols glowed with a soft blue light that no one could explain. Kim Dae-ho was the team leader. He was 35 years old and had been studying alien ruins for 10 years. People said he was crazy because he liked to try new things instead of following the rules. But his crazy ideas often worked when nothing else did. Behind him, he heard the sound of heavy boots on rock. Commander Yoon Hye-jin walked up to him. She was wearing full military gear and carrying a big rifle. Her face looked serious like always. "Dr. Kim," she said, "I don't like this place. My scanners are picking up strange energy readings from inside those walls. Maybe we should wait for more backup." Kim Dae-ho shook his head. "We've waited long enough. The research permit only lasts for 2 weeks. If we don't explore now, it might be years before we get another chance." Commander Yoon was not happy, but she nodded. She was here to protect the team, not to make decisions about the research. Still, she had a bad feeling about this place. In her 15 years as a soldier, she had learned to trust her gut feelings. A soft voice called out from behind them. "The preliminary scans are complete." Dr. Park Ji-woo walked over carrying a tablet computer. He was the team's doctor and scientist. He was young, only 28, but he was very smart. The air inside should be safe to breathe. The walls are definitely artificial, not natural rock formations. As they talked, 2 more team members came up the hill. The first was Nara, a Veltari female. She was tall and thin, with bright blue skin that seemed to shine in the sunlight. She had 4 arms instead of 2, which made her very good at her job as a language expert. She could write notes and take pictures at the same time while holding her equipment. "The symbols on the outer walls are definitely a form of writing," Nara said. Her voice sounded like music. "But it's unlike anything in our databases. This could be a completely unknown civilization." The last member of their team was Beck, a Krex male. He was huge, almost 7 feet tall, with skin that looked like gray rock. His people were known for being strong and tough. Beck was their security expert. He carried weapons that could stop almost anything. "I still think this is dangerous," Beck said in his deep voice. "My people have an old saying. When the ancient ones build walls, they build them for good reasons." Kim Dae-ho looked at his team. Humans and aliens working together was still new. Only 20 years ago, humans had thought they were alone in the universe. Now they worked side by side with dozens of different species. But it wasn't always easy. Each species had different ways of thinking and different ideas about what was safe. "I understand everyone's concerns," Kim Dae-ho said, "but this is why we're here. These ruins are over 50,000 years old. Whatever built them is long gone. We're not grave robbers. We're scientists trying to learn about the past." He pointed to a large door in the wall. It was made of black stone and had no handles or obvious way to open it. "The scans show that there are chambers behind that door. Chambers that haven't been opened for thousands of years. Think about what we might find. New technology, new history, maybe even answers about how life spread across the galaxy." Nara stepped forward. Her forearms moved as she talked, which was normal for her people. "I agree with Dr. Kim. The writing here suggests this was a place of learning. Look at these symbols." She pointed to a row of glowing marks above the door. "These appear to be mathematical equations. Complex ones." Dr. Park Ji-woo checked his tablet again. "The energy readings are stronger near the door. But they seem stable. Not dangerous, just active." Commander Yoon sighed. "Fine, but we do this carefully. Full protective gear. No one goes anywhere alone. And at the first sign of trouble, we leave. I don't care if we're in the middle of the greatest discovery in human history." Beck nodded. "Agreed, and I go first through any new areas." Kim Dae-ho smiled. This was why he loved working with this team. They might argue, but when it came time to work, they worked together. They spent the next hour setting up their equipment. Dr. Park Ji-woo placed sensors around the area to watch for any changes in the environment. Commander Yoon set up a communication link with their ship, which was waiting in orbit above the planet. Nara began taking detailed pictures of all the symbols. Beck checked their weapons and emergency equipment. Kim Dae-ho stood in front of the black door and ran his hands over its surface. It was smooth like glass but warm to the touch. The symbols above it pulsed with that strange blue light. According to the scans, there's a simple pressure mechanism, Dr. Park said. Push on the center of the door and it should open. Wait, Nara said suddenly. She was studying her pictures of the symbols. I think I'm starting to understand some of this writing. This symbol here means danger or warning, and this one means protect or guard. Commander Yoon raised her rifle. Maybe we should think about this more. But Kim Dae-ho had already placed his hand on the center of the door. Sometimes you have to take risks to learn something new, he said. The door began to glow. Then with a deep rumbling sound, it started to slide into the wall. Cool air flowed out from the darkness beyond. The air smelled old like dust and time itself. Kim Dae-ho turned on his flashlight and stepped toward the opening. Well, he said with a grin, let's see what secrets they left for us. The inside of the ancient building was like stepping into another world. Kim Dae-ho's flashlight beam cut through the darkness, showing walls covered in more glowing symbols. The air was cool and dry, much better than the hot air outside. This is incredible, Dr. Park Ji-woo whispered. He held up his scanner and watched the numbers change. The air's perfectly clean. No dust, no bacteria. It's like this place was sealed yesterday, not thousands of years ago. Commander Yoon Hye-jin stayed close to the entrance, her rifle ready. She didn't like closed spaces, especially old ones. How is that possible? Nothing stays this clean for so long. Nara moved deeper into the chamber, her forearms busy with different tools. 2 arms held cameras while the other 2 took notes on a tablet. The preservation technology here is far beyond what any of our species can do, she said. Look at these walls. They're not just clean, they look new. The chamber was larger than it had looked from outside. The ceiling was high above them, disappearing into darkness. Along the walls were strange machines made of the same black stone as the door. They hummed quietly with power, even after all these years. Beck walked slowly around the room, checking every corner. His rock-like skin made small scraping sounds as he moved. These machines are still working, he said. That's not normal. Nothing should still be working after 50,000 years. Kim Dae-ho was fascinated by everything he saw. On one wall was a large panel covered in symbols that pulsed with different colors. Blue, green, red, yellow, they changed in patterns that seemed almost like a language. Nara, can you make sense of any of this? He asked. Nara studied the colored symbols carefully. Some of these are similar to what we saw outside. I think this might be some kind of control system, but I need more time to understand it. As she spoke, she stepped closer to the wall. Her people had excellent eyesight, much better than humans. She could see tiny details that others might miss. There were smaller symbols hidden between the larger ones, almost like secret messages. Be careful, Beck warned. Don't touch anything until we know what it does. But Nara was already reaching out with one of her hands. She wanted to trace the outline of a particularly interesting symbol. It looked like a picture of a star with lines coming out from it. The moment her finger touched the symbol, everything changed. The walls began to glow brighter. The humming sound got louder, and somewhere in the darkness above them something moved. Nara, step back, Commander Yoon shouted, but it was too late. A section of the wall that had looked solid suddenly opened like a mouth. Something fast and silver shot out from the hidden space. It was small, no bigger than a man's arm, but it moved like lightning. The creature looked like a snake, but it was unlike any snake from Earth or any other known planet. Its skin was silver and seemed to be made of tiny mirrors. Its eyes glowed red like fire, and when it opened its mouth to strike, they could see fangs that looked like they were made of crystal. Nara tried to jump back, but the snake was too fast. It hit her in the shoulder, right where her protective suit was thinnest. The crystal fangs went through the tough material like it was paper. Nara, Beck roared. He raised his weapon, but the snake was already pulling back into its hiding place. The wall closed again, leaving no sign that it had ever been open. Nara stumbled backward, her forearms flailing. Where the snake had bitten her, a strange glow was starting to spread. The bite marks were glowing with the same blue light as the symbols on the walls. I can't. Nara tried to speak, but her voice was getting weak. She fell to her knees, then onto her side. Her bright blue skin was starting to turn darker, like someone was pouring ink under it. Dr. Park Ji-woo dropped his equipment and ran to her. He pulled out his medical scanner and ran it over her body. The results made his face go pale. This is bad, he said. The venom is spreading through her bloodstream. Her heart rate is dropping. blood pressure falling. I'm reading signs of organ failure. Kim Dae-ho knelt beside Nara. Her forearms were starting to shake uncontrollably. Her breathing was getting slower and more difficult. What kind of snake was that? Commander Yoon demanded. I've never seen anything like it. Beck stood over Nara, his huge hands clenched into fists. He looked angry and helpless at the same time. It was a guardian, he said. My people have stories about creatures like that. The ancient ones used to make them to protect important places. Dr. Park was working frantically with his medical equipment. I need to identify this venom before I can treat it. But my scanners have never seen anything like this before. The glow from Nara's bite wound was getting brighter. It was spreading down her arm and across her chest like glowing veins. She was trying to say something, but her words came out in her own language, not in the common language they all spoke. She's calling for her family. Beck translated quietly. His people were good at learning languages. She thinks she's dying. How long do we have? Kim Dae-ho asked. Dr. Park checked his scanner again. The numbers were getting worse every second. At this rate, maybe 30 minutes, maybe less. Commander Yoon was already talking into her radio. Base, this is ground team. We have a medical emergency. Request immediate evacuation. The radio crackled with static, then a voice came through. Ground team, this is base. Evacuation shuttle is already in the air. Estimated arrival time 3 hours. 3 hours? Commander Yoon's voice went up. She doesn't have 3 hours. That's the fastest we can manage. The terrain between your location and the landing zone is too rough for a direct approach. Kim Dae-ho looked down at Nara. Her skin was now more purple than blue. The glowing veins had spread across half her body. Her forearms had stopped shaking and were now completely still. There has to be something we can do, he said. Dr. Park shook his head. I'm trying everything. Antitoxins, stimulants, blood cleaners. Nothing is working. This venom is like nothing I've ever seen. It's designed to attack multiple biological systems at once. What do you mean designed? Beck asked. I mean, this isn't natural evolution. Someone made this creature specifically to kill. The venom targets the nervous system, the circulatory system, and the respiratory system all at the same time. It's a perfect biological weapon. Nara's eyes opened for a moment. She looked at Kim Dae-ho and tried to smile. Then her eyes closed again and her breathing became even more shallow. The ancient chamber seemed to watch them silently. The glowing symbols on the walls pulsed steadily like a heartbeat. Whatever civilization had built this place, they had been very serious about protecting their secrets. Kim Dae-ho stood up and looked around the chamber. There has to be an answer here somewhere. The people who built this place, they would have had an antidote. They wouldn't have created a weapon without a way to cure it. Even if they did, Commander Yoon said, we don't have time to find it. We need to get her out of here now. But as she spoke, the entrance to the chamber began to glow. Slowly, silently, the heavy door started to slide closed. No, Beck threw himself at the door, trying to hold it open with his massive strength. But the ancient mechanisms were too powerful. The door continued to close until it sealed completely. They were trapped inside with a dying friend and no way out. The sealed chamber felt smaller now that they couldn't leave. Commander Yoon Hee-jin pounded on the black stone door with her fist, but it didn't move even a little bit. The door was solid as a mountain. There has to be a way to open this from the inside, she said, breathing hard from hitting the door. No one builds a room without an exit. Beck joined her at the door. His massive hands felt along every inch of the surface, looking for hidden switches or pressure plates. Maybe the snake creature closing the door was automatic. Maybe it only opens from outside. Kim Dae-ho wasn't listening to them. He was kneeling beside Nara, watching her get worse. The purple color in her skin was spreading faster now. The glowing veins had reached her face, making strange patterns across her features. Dr. Park Ji-woo had all his medical equipment spread out on the floor around. Nara tubes and wires connected. Her to machines that beeped and flashed with warning lights. Her body temperature is dropping. Heart rate down to 40 beats per minute. This venom is shutting down everything. How much time? Kim Dae-ho asked quietly. 20 minutes, maybe 15. Dr. Park's hands shook as he worked. He had been a doctor for 8 years, but he had never felt so helpless. I've tried every antidote in our medical kit. Nothing even slows it down. Beck stopped searching the door and came over to them. The big alien looked down at Nara with sad eyes. She was the first alien to welcome me when I joined the research team, he said. Most people are afraid of my people. They think we're just dumb muscle. but Nara treated me like a real scientist. You are a real scientist, Kim Dae-ho said. Your geological surveys found this site in the first place. We've worked together for 10 years, Beck continued. 12 different planets. 15 major discoveries. She taught me how to read ancient languages. I taught her how to identify dangerous rock formations. His voice got quieter. She has a family back home. 2 children and a mate who is probably wondering why she hasn't called. Commander Yoon stopped pounding on the door. Don't talk like she's already dead. We'll find a way out of here. But even as she said it, she was thinking about the radio message she had managed to send before the door closed. The rescue shuttle was still 2.5 hours away. Even if they found a way to open the door right now, it wouldn't be fast enough. Dr. Park tried a different approach. Maybe I can slow down the venom instead of stopping it. Buy us more time. He pulled out a syringe filled with blue liquid. This is a neural inhibitor. It might slow down the nerve damage. He injected the medicine into Nara's arm. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her breathing got a little stronger. It's working, Dr. Park said with excitement, but the improvement only lasted a few seconds. Soon Nara's breathing was as weak as before, and the purple color in her skin kept spreading. The venom adapts, Dr. Park said with frustration. It's learning to fight our medicine. This isn't just a toxin. It's almost like a living thing. Kim Dae-ho stood up and walked to the wall where Nara had been bitten. The section that had opened was completely invisible now. He ran his hands over the surface, but it felt like solid stone. Tell me about guardian creatures, he said to Beck. Your people have stories about them? Beck nodded. Old stories. From before my people had space travel, the ancient ones who ruled the galaxy long ago, they left guardians to protect their most important secrets. My grandfather told me about them when I was young. What kind of secrets would need that kind of protection? Weapons. Technology that could destroy worlds. Sometimes just knowledge that was too dangerous for younger species to have. Beck looked around the chamber. This place feels like that kind of secret. Commander Yoon had found a new section of wall to examine. These symbols here are different from the others. They're not glowing. She traced them with her finger. They feel colder too. Dr. Park looked up from his patient. That might be a different type of control system. Maybe emergency controls that don't need power. Nara made a soft sound. Her eyes opened for a moment and she tried to speak. The words came out in her native language, weak and hard to understand. Beck listened carefully. She's saying something about poison flowers? No, that doesn't make sense. Poison flowers? Kim Dae-ho repeated. Could she mean something about the venom? Maybe she's remembering something from her research, Dr. Park said. People sometimes have clear thoughts right before. He didn't finish the sentence. Commander Yoon was getting angry. She was a soldier, trained to solve problems with action. Being trapped with no way to fight back was the worst kind of situation for her. There has to be something we can do. We have weapons, explosives, cutting tools. We can blast our way out. The walls might collapse and kill us all, Beck warned. Better than sitting here watching Nara die. Kim Dae-ho walked back to Nara and knelt beside her again. Her skin was now more purple than blue. The glowing veins covered her whole body like a strange map, but as he looked closer, he noticed something odd. Dr. Park, look at this. The glow is brighter near the bite wound, right? Yes, that's where the venom entered her system. But look at the pattern. It's not spreading randomly. It's following specific paths. Kim Dae-ho traced one of the glowing lines with his finger. This follows her circulatory system exactly, and this one follows her nervous system. Dr. Park looked more carefully at his scanner readings. You're right. The venom is following her biological systems like a map. But what does that mean? Maybe it means the venom isn't just trying to kill her. Maybe it's trying to do something else. Beck came over to look. What do you mean? Think about it. If you wanted to create the perfect biological weapon, you wouldn't just make it deadly. You'd make it precise, controllable. Kim Dae-ho's mind was working fast. What if this isn't really a poison? What if it's some kind of biological computer program? Dr. Park's eyes went wide. A program designed to interface with living nervous systems. That would explain why it adapts to our treatments. And why it follows such specific pathways through her body, Kim Dae-ho added. Commander Yoon looked confused. So what does that mean for saving her? It means we need to think like programmers, not doctors, Kim Dae-ho said. How do you stop a computer program? You shut down the computer, Dr. Park said slowly. But we can't shut down Nara without killing her. Or you give it a command it can't process, Kim Dae-ho continued. You crashed the program. Nara's breathing suddenly got much worse. Her forearms went completely limp. The beeping from Dr. Park's machines became one long, steady tone. She's going into cardiac arrest, Dr. Park said. We're losing her. Kim Dae-ho looked at the bite wound on Nara's shoulder. The crystal fangs had made 2 small holes, each one glowing brighter than the rest of her body. As he watched, he could see tiny drops of the glowing venom still seeping from the wounds. An idea began to form in his mind. It was crazy, dangerous, and probably impossible, but it was the only idea he had. Dr. Park, he said, what happens if you remove venom from a snakebite? You mean manually? Like the old primitive method? Yes, Dr. Park shook his head. That's been proven ineffective. Plus, it's dangerous for the person doing it. You could poison yourself. Kim Dae-ho looked at Nara's dying form, then at the sealed door, then at his teammates who had run out of options. Sometimes, he said quietly, primitive methods work when advanced ones don't. Kim Dae-ho stared at the 2 glowing puncture wounds on Nara's shoulder. The venom was still seeping out in tiny drops that glowed like liquid starlight. Each drop that emerged seemed to pulse with its own life. You can't be serious, Dr. Park Ji-woo said when he realized what Kim Dae-ho was thinking. Manual venom extraction is primitive medicine. It doesn't work on earth snake bites, and this isn't even an earth snake. More importantly, Commander Yoon Hye-jin added, that venom could kill you too. We don't know how it affects humans. Beck's deep voice rumbled through the chamber. My people have stories about humans doing crazy things to save others. But this is beyond crazy. This is suicide. Kim Dae-ho wasn't listening to their arguments. His mind had gone back to when he was 12 years old, hiking in the mountains of Korea with his grandfather. The old man had taught him many things about surviving in the wild. Grandson, his grandfather had said one day after they found a wounded bird, sometimes the old ways work better than the new ways. Sometimes simple is better than complicated. The important thing is to try when others have given up. But Dr. Park continued, even if you could extract some of the venom, most of it is already in her bloodstream. It won't save her. Kim Dae-ho knelt beside Nara and looked closely at the bite wound. The glowing venom wasn't just sitting in the wound, it was still flowing. Like a slow river of light moving from her shoulder toward her heart. Look at this, he said to the others. The venom isn't just spreading randomly. It's moving in a specific pattern, following her circulatory system like a highway. Dr. Park looked at his scanner again. The highest concentration is still near the bite site. But why would that be? After this much time, it should be evenly distributed throughout her body. Maybe it's not working the way we think, Kim Dae-ho said. Maybe it's not just poison moving through her blood. Maybe it's something else. He thought about what they had discussed earlier, the idea that the venom was like a computer program. Computer programs had source code. They started somewhere and spread from there. What if the bite wound is like a transmitter? He said slowly. What if it's continuously sending the poison into her system? Beck's eyes widened. You mean the fangs left something behind? Something that keeps making more poison? Kim Dae-ho nodded. The crystal fangs looked artificial. What if they injected some kind of device? Something microscopic that keeps producing venom? Dr. Park ran his scanner over the bite wound more carefully. There is something unusual here. The tissue around the puncture wound shows signs of mechanical activity, like tiny machines working. Nanobots, Commander Yoon said. Microscopic robots. Some of our military weapons use them. If that's true, Kim Dae-ho said, then removing the venom from the wound site might stop the source. It might shut down the whole system. Dr. Park shook his head. Even if you're right, you can't extract nanobots by sucking on a wound. You need specialized equipment, medical extraction devices, which we don't have, Kim Dae-ho pointed out. Exactly. So this won't work. Kim Dae-ho looked at Nara. Her breathing was so shallow now that he could barely see her chest moving. The purple color had spread to her face. Her forearms lay completely still. How long does she have left? He asked. Dr. Park checked his instruments. 5 minutes. Maybe less. Then we don't have time to debate this. Kim Dae-ho began taking off his protective gloves. I'm going to try. Wait. Commander Yoon grabbed his arm. This is insane. You'll kill yourself for nothing. Look around, Kim Dae-ho said. We're trapped in here. The rescue shuttle is still hours away. Our advanced medicine isn't working. What other options do we have? Beck stepped forward. There might be another way. In the old stories, my people sometimes used controlled fire to burn out poison. We could try that. That would definitely kill her, Dr. Park said. Her system is too weak for that kind of trauma. Kim Dae-ho pulled his arm free from Commander Yoon's grip. My grandfather taught me something when I was young. He said that sometimes you have to risk everything to save someone you care about. Sometimes the simple solution is the right solution. He knelt beside Nara and looked at the glowing wound. The venom drops were still seeping out, each one carrying that strange blue light. Dr. Park, if I'm right about the nanobots, what would happen if I could extract them? Theoretically, if you could remove the source, her body might be able to fight off what's already in her system. But Kim Dae-ho, this is all theoretical. We don't even know if there are nanobots. And we don't know if human saliva will neutralize alien technology, Commander Yoon added. You could be making things worse. Kim Dae-ho thought about his grandfather again. The old man had never owned a computer or flown in a spaceship, but he had lived through wars and famines and disasters. He had saved lives with simple tools and basic knowledge. Sometimes, Kim Dae-ho said, old solutions work on new problems. He leaned down toward Nara's shoulder. The glowing venom had a strange smell like ozone and metal. Don't do this, Dr. Park pleaded. Let me try to synthesize an antidote. Give me more time. We don't have more time. Kim Dae-ho placed his mouth over the bite wound. The moment his lips touched the glowing liquid, he felt a strange, tingling sensation. The venom tasted like nothing he had ever experienced. Not bitter or sweet, but somehow electric, like licking a battery. He sucked gently and felt the liquid enter his mouth. It was warm and seemed to move on its own. For a terrifying moment, he thought he could feel tiny machines moving across his tongue. He lifted his head and spit the glowing venom onto the floor. The liquid continued to glow for several seconds before fading to darkness. Kim Dae-ho, Commander Yoon shouted. How do you feel? Are you poisoned? He felt strange, dizzy and tingly, but not sick. I'm okay, I think. He looked down at Nara. But I need to get more out. He repeated the process, sucking and spitting over and over. Each time the venom that came out glowed brighter than what was left in the wound, as if he was drawing out the most active parts first. Dr. Park watched his scanner in amazement. Something is happening. The venom concentration in her bloodstream is starting to drop. How is that possible? After several minutes, Kim Dae-ho sat back. His mouth felt numb and metallic, but he wasn't feeling sick. The bite wound on Nara's shoulder had stopped glowing completely. Look, Beck said, pointing at Nara's skin. The purple color is fading. It was true. Starting from her shoulder and moving outward, Nara's natural blue color was returning. The glowing veins under her skin were getting dimmer. Dr. Park's scanner began beeping rapidly. Her heart rate is increasing. Blood pressure is stabilizing. This is impossible, but it's working. Commander Yoon stared at Kim Dae-ho in disbelief. How did you know that would work? Kim Dae-ho wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. I didn't know. I just hope that sometimes the simple solution is the right one. Nara's eyes fluttered open. She looked confused and weak, but she was definitely alive. Her forearms moved slightly and she tried to speak. Don't try to talk yet, Dr. Park said gently. You've been very sick, but you're going to be okay. As if responding to Nara's recovery, the chamber began to change. The symbols on the walls pulsed brighter, and somewhere behind them they heard the sound of ancient machinery awakening. The sound of ancient machinery filled the chamber as Nara's breathing grew stronger. The walls around them hummed with new energy, and the symbols that had been glowing steadily now pulsed in different patterns. Dr. Park Ji-woo couldn't believe what his scanner was showing him. Her vital signs are almost normal now. Heart rate, blood pressure, brain activity, everything is returning to healthy levels. Nara tried to sit up, but she was still very weak. Her forearms shook as she pushed against the floor. What happened? She asked in a whisper. I remember the snake and then darkness. You were dying, Beck said simply. His deep voice was softer than usual. The snake injected you with venom that our medicine couldn't cure. How am I alive? Nara looked around at the faces of her teammates. Everyone looked tired and worried, but also amazed. Commander Yoon Hee-jin pointed at Kim Dae-ho. He saved you. Used an old human method to extract the venom from your wound. Nara looked at Kim Dae-ho with confusion. Old human method? Kim Dae-ho felt embarrassed by all the attention. I sucked the poison out of your bite wound, like people used to do for snake bites long ago. You put your mouth on alien venom? Nara's 4 eyes went wide. That could have killed you. Our advanced medicine wasn't working, Kim Dae-ho explained. Sometimes you have to try simple solutions. Dr. Park was still studying his scanner readings. I don't understand how it worked, though. The venom was already throughout her circulatory system. Removing it from the wound site shouldn't have been enough. As he spoke, the chamber around them continued to change. The black stone door they had been trapped behind suddenly glowed and began to slide open. Fresh air flowed in from outside. The door opened by itself, Commander Yoon said with surprise. Why would it do that now? Beck walked over to examine the door mechanism. Maybe the chamber was programmed to open when the guardian creature's work was finished. What do you mean? Kim Dae-ho asked. Think about it. The snake didn't just bite Nara randomly. It was protecting this place. Maybe when it decided she was no longer a threat, it allowed us to leave. Dr. Park looked up from his medical equipment. Are you saying the venom was some kind of test? Not exactly a test, Nara said weakly. She was getting stronger by the minute. More like evaluation. I've been thinking about what happened while I was unconscious. The venom didn't just attack my body. It was reading my mind. Reading your mind? Commander Yoon sounded skeptical. I could feel it moving through my thoughts, looking at my memories, learning about who I am and why I'm here. Nara struggled to explain what she had experienced. It was like having a conversation with tiny machines inside my head. Kim Dae-ho helped her sit up more comfortably. What did it want to know? Everything. My education, my research, my reasons for being here. Whether I wanted to learn or to steal. Whether I respected the knowledge of ancient civilizations or just wanted to take it for my own benefit. Doctor? Park checked his scanner again. That would explain the nanobots. They weren't just poisoning you, they were interfacing with your nervous system, reading your thoughts and memories. And when Kim Dae-ho removed them, Nara continued, I think he interrupted the process before it could reach a final judgment about me. The chamber around them was becoming brighter. More sections of the walls were opening, revealing corridors that led deeper into the ancient structure. So we can explore more? Kim Dae-ho asked hopefully. Wait, Commander Yoon said. She was listening to something on her radio. The rescue shuttle has arrived. They're waiting outside for us. Already? Dr. Park looked at his watch. But they said 3 hours. Apparently they made better time than expected. They want us to evacuate immediately. Kim Dae-ho looked at the newly opened passages with longing. But we've barely started to explore this place, and now that it's accepted us. Dr. Kim, Commander Yoon said firmly, Nara needs proper medical attention. We're leaving. Now. Dr. Park was packing up his equipment. She's right. Nara's recovery seems complete, but I want her checked by the full medical team on the ship. Beck was already helping Nara to her feet. She was much stronger now, but still unsteady. The ruins will still be here when we come back, he said to Kim Dae-ho. And now we know how to get past the Guardian. As they prepared to leave, Nara looked back at the chamber one more time. There's something else, she said. While the nanobots were in my system, I learned things. I could understand all the writing on the walls. What does it say? Kim Dae-ho asked eagerly. This was a library, a repository of knowledge from a civilization that spanned the galaxy millions of years ago. They built these places to preserve their learning for future species. Why did they need guardians then? Because some knowledge is dangerous. The guardians test anyone who finds these places. They determine whether the visitors are ready for what's inside. Commander Yoon was getting impatient. We can discuss ancient aliens later. Right now, we need to move. They made their way out of the chamber and through the entrance they had opened hours earlier. The red sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant orange and purple colors. Outside, a sleek rescue shuttle waited on a flat area near the ruins. Its engines hummed quietly, ready for immediate takeoff. As they walked toward the shuttle, Dr. Park fell into step beside Kim Dae-ho. "I still don't understand how you knew that would work," he said. "I didn't know," Kim Dae-ho replied honestly. "I just remembered something my grandfather taught me when I was young. He said that the old ways and the new ways both have value. Sometimes you need advanced technology. Sometimes you need simple human instincts. Your grandfather sounds like a wise man." He was. He died when I was in college, but I think about his lessons all the time. They reached the shuttle, where the medical team was waiting with a stretcher for Nara. She waved them away. "I can walk," she said. Thanks to Dr. Kim's primitive human medicine. The shuttle pilot, a young human woman, looked confused. Primitive human medicine? Commander Yoon laughed, the first time she had smiled all day. "Long story. I'll explain during the flight." As the shuttle lifted off from the planet's surface, Kim Dae-ho looked down at the ancient ruins. The chamber they had explored was just one small part of a vast complex. Who knew what other secrets were waiting to be discovered? Nara settled into a seat beside him. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You risked your life for me." "You would have done the same for any of us," Kim Dae-ho replied. "Maybe. But I wouldn't have thought of such a simple solution. My people always look for complex answers to complex problems. And sometimes that's the right approach. But sometimes," Kim Dae-ho shrugged. "Sometimes you just have to trust your instincts and try something basic." Dr. Park joined their conversation. "I'm going to recommend that all future exploration teams receive training in primitive first aid methods. What you did today worked when all our advanced medicine failed." "You think other people will listen?" Kim Dae-ho asked. "After today?" "Definitely. You've proven that human intuition and traditional knowledge have value even in the most advanced scientific situations." Beck, who had been quiet during the shuttle ride, finally spoke up. "My people will want to hear this story. We respect courage and wisdom. What you did today was both." As the shuttle entered orbit around the planet, Kim Dae-ho looked at his teammates. Human and alien, all working together, all learning from each other. "When do we go back?" he asked. Commander Yoon groaned. "Give Nara at least a week to recover before you start planning the next expedition." "I'll be ready in 3 days," Nara said with a smile. "Now that we know how to talk to the Guardians, there's so much more to learn." Kim Dae-ho grinned and looked out the shuttle window at the stars. Somewhere out there were more ancient ruins, more Guardians, more tests of wisdom and courage. And sometimes, he thought, the old ways would be exactly what they needed to unlock the secrets of the future. The shuttle continued its journey home, carrying a team that had learned the value of combining advanced technology with simple human wisdom. It was a lesson they would carry with them to every new world they explored.